As you're waiting for your 100 gigabyte Starfield to download, you're listening to a Slice of Gaming podcast. Thanks for joining us. This is the Slice of Gaming podcast, episode 14 for August 18th, 2023. Be sure to like and follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and Audible. So we got it's big news week, but it's not like a lot of news to really talk about. So we got some games going gold, we got some delays, got some even push-ups. So we're going to get all into that. But let's introduce everyone who's on the podcast today. Uploading his no-scope montage set to dubstep, it's Bench.
Hello.
It's an enemy AC 130 above. No, wait, it's just Wolf.
I'm not an AC 130 above, okay?
It's a compliment.
Disrespect.
It was a compliment.
You didn't even say it
in,
right. You gotta yell it like the Spetsnaz.
I'm not blowing out my mic. Calling in his swarm of hunter-killer drones, it's Fusion.
Happy to be back this week.
And back at it again with the same old shit, just like COD, it's Dark.
Hey, how's it going?
So as I said, it's going to be probably a quickie episode this week. It's not too much to talk about, and because of that, we will be having the topic later once we get through all the news. But to get to the news, we have to go to Wolf.
Yes, that's me. What's up, man? Like Moon said, it's actually a pretty quick and easy news week, but we have a topic this week that we'll hopefully get into. The first big news story, though, we got to talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Bench, you're good to go watch YouTube Shorts because I know you ain't got nothing to say. The first thing I want to put up is the actual official announcement from the Call of Duty Twitter. This is from Call of Duty's Twitter. Dark new chapter begins in Modern Warfare 3. Blockbuster campaign featuring new open combat missions, iconic multiplayer maps, the largest Call of Duty Zombies map ever, plus so much more. Ready up for MW3 Soldier. And I guess that's like immediate. Like, what are our immediate thoughts on the game? Fusion, I know you're the big one. You're the Call of Duty guy. What do you think?
Yeah, well, in a year where I thought we weren't going to get a new mainline Call of Duty, they decided they're just going to release one anyways. So I would like Modern Warfare 3. It's gonna be cool, whatever. Like Sledgehammer's not my favorite dev team, so like personally, I'm not like incredibly excited, but anything better than Infinity Ward at this rate, like 10 years later. So like, I'm going to get it. I always get the Call of Duties, but as far as right now, my hype levels, we'll talk about more when we get into like multiplayer because like I'm like the mainly multiplayer. I think the campaign will be cool though.
Yeah, I mean that's a big interesting thing to think about, just like multiplayer campaign. I actually didn't know it was Sledgehammer is doing this one, like all the way.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a lot.
Not all the way.
Exciting.
It's
I
a
thought it was going to be
collaboration.
Infinity Ward. Oh, it's
Well,
Infinity Ward.
every COD has
Sledgehammer,
been a collaboration at some point, but yeah, they all say that at this point. But like the main dev team is Sledgehammer.
Okay, so kind of like Modern Warfare 3 then, or the original Modern Warfare. Real quick, I hate reboot titles so fucking much because of this shit. Original Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah,
kind of like that
the one with the actual 3 and not the like that.
Man. Dude, I just reboot titles. I hate them.
Well, hopefully they're over after this one.
You would think. Then they gotta
prepare
hit us
for
with
Ghost remake.
Ghost remake.
They should take a break here for Call of Duty.
It was supposed to be this year.
This was supposed to be this year. It was gonna be an expansion. They're like, let's make it a full game.
Well, they should actually do it.
I mean, it basically is just an
they will
expansion.
soon.
I'm gonna get into it.
The Xbox deal. Yeah, I mean, I can talk real quick. Let me get these other headlines. Gene Park from Washington Post said this over on Twitter. For the first time, Call of Duty's campaign for Modern Warfare 3 will feature true sandbox gameplay with objectives and moments you could miss even after several replays. And the Modern Warfare storyline and its characters doesn't end with this game. And then Charlie Intel over on Twitter also brought this breaking Modern Warfare 3 game description. 16 MW2 multiplayer maps at launch, over 12 new 6v6 maps during post-launch seasons. Zombies being open world zombies. And then one more post from Mr. Dalek JD over on Twitter. Breakdown of Modern Warfare 3 Zombies story missions. As you play the mode, you're going to have missions layered on that progress the storyline. The story is being told through 3 acts, and at the end of each act, there's going to be a special mission that transitions you from the big map to a sub-map where you'll have a more crafted experience, with a lot of bespoke activities in these missions as you move the story along. Completing these missions rewards you with the cinematics to reinforce those major story developments and the rewards. Dark, I know you had a lot of thoughts in terms of the zombies, especially. Why don't we start there, actually?
Yeah, so there was a little bit more news that came out. Like, it's since everything is online, it's basically like Outbreak if you're familiar with that. I think they said like the time limit's 90 minutes. You're being timed, so you can't just play for forever, which already sucks. And it's just they're doing Outbreak again. Like Outbreak was fine because they also had the individual maps that you can play solo. It just feels like they're moving away from what made zombies, and I'm not really a big fan of it. Like Outbreak is okay, but it's not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Interesting.
yeah.
So, Outbreak, that's the...
That was what it was
can
in. I forget what fucking card it was in.
Yeah.
It was on the couple.
Black Ops
It was
4?
like no, it wasn't Black Ops 4. It was Treyarch's last game. Oh, Cold War. That's what it was in. So
Cold War?
Outbreak
Okay.
is like it's this open world zombies. There's a big map and you have multiple people, and it's kind of like DMZ zombies. So they have like missions here and there. You explore the world, get stuff. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But when you think of COD zombies, you normally think of the maps, more close quarters, tight little experiences with in-depth Easter eggs and stuff that you can play until you die. Here you have a time limit now, which kind of sucks, and I feel like you gotta be feeling rushed to do things, which really sucks. It also seems like there's a forced extra, which also sucks.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Fusion, are you zombies at all or not?
No, it's like the mode that, even though this
Same.
doesn't, kind of like how Dark was like, this doesn't like, I wasn't huge into zombies, but this isn't the way for me to get into zombies. Like if I was going to play zombies, I would rather the like close-knit round-based zombies be back. But like, no, I'm not a big zombie guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with Fusion. I'm not the biggest zombies guy either, but like when I did play it, like the round-based gameplay is fun. Like that is how it works. So like everything they're saying here just doesn't interest me in jumping into zombies at all. But one thing that I do think Fusion is very much more interested in is the multiplayer map selection just being MW2 multiplayer maps. And this isn't reboot MW2, original MW2 maps.
Yeah, this is where like I love this. Like this is as close as we're going to get to like them remastering a Call of Duty, other than COD 4, obviously. But like this is like, because I, as someone who has played Call of Duty every year at launch for the past 15 years, like I have known for the past 5 years, the Call of Duty maps, the new maps have been atrocious. Like I mean, the best maps in these games have been like always the reboot. So the fact that like I don't even have to worry about launch maps, I just know I'm getting like 16 really solid maps from the jump. Like that excites me personally. When I'm thinking of like pub stopping or going in with friends, I'm like I'm knowing at least off rip I'm getting 16 really good maps, and then whatever the 12 they add throughout the year, that's just bonus.
Do you remember the MW2 campaign remaster that they kind of just like dropped one day? I bet you what happened was that they had the multiplayer remastered too, with all the maps and everything, but like it wasn't like fully ready, and they're like, oh, let's save it for later, like when we don't have a COD, and they're like, oh, why don't we just put it in this COD? I bet you that's what happened.
I can see it. I think this alone is like one of the most exciting pre-launch things you could get for like the Call of Duty fan base to jump into your game. Like if there was ever a time where you're like, you didn't think there was a premium release, and now your premium release is 16 remastered Modern Warfare 2 maps. Like Call of Duty, if they do one thing right, it's marketing. Every single year, they always nail it somehow.
It's a weird thing. Well, yeah, I mean, this year they like waited. Honestly, I think this is like the shortest turnaround. I mean, I know it's usually around August that they do the reveal and everything, but like, I don't know. This one feels like even closer than usual.
I don't know.
I
it
think
feels
the beta is
lazy.
in like October.
Yeah, the beta was leaked to be in October. I think October 3rd or something.
Yeah, it's October 6th. I think. Looks like PlayStation's going to have the early beta this time, or well, again.
Yeah, they still have it for a couple of years.
Again, yeah.
They got it for like the week of like the first weekend of October, and then like the following weekend is everybody.
No, wait, this is the last year they get the early access.
Yeah, this should be the last year they get it.
Yeah, this will be the last one.
Yeah.
That is interesting to think about, honestly.
In my opinion, though, this feels really lazy. Because even when we look at the trailer, this just looks like what Modern Warfare 2 should have been. And even then, that's probably gonna be the same situation when we actually get this game, because the last few Call of Duties have sucked ass. They never live up to expectations. They release a trailer, they get everybody's hyped up, they release the game and they're lackluster, And then the cycle just keeps on repeating itself over and over again. And now when they announced, oh yeah, we're bringing back all these old maps with nothing new, it's like, the fuck did you do this entire time then? That's just my take on
I
it.
do. I mean, that's the thing though. It's like I agree with you very much that like it does feel very. I wouldn't say lazy, but like much more like I don't know.
Lazy
Like,
might not have been the best word, but like,
yeah,
because I'm sure they put a lot
I
of
never
time
like
into
using
it.
the word
But like,
lazy, but like it's not the amount of like effort that you would get from an actual like big release like Call of Duty. And even
yeah,
then, like it just feels like weirdly like we're just bringing back all the map. Like this, the surprise to me is 0 new maps at launch. Like I was expecting at least a couple, and I am right there with Fusion. The maps suck. The maps of the recent CODs have been like some of the worst in any multiplayer video game, honestly. So I mean, just getting the reliable and good maps again from MW2 is very exciting. Except for Derail and Quarry, just don't bring them back. Nobody likes those maps.
Corey's good.
Corey's
Quarry
good.
is not good.
I hate
Who-
Derail, but Corey's good.
I
mean,
need to
nobody
remember
likes
which one
Derail.
derail is. Hold up, I need to Google this real
It
quick.
was like the like
Snowy train
I was
map.
gonna say the train in the snowy area. That doesn't
Yeah,
really just
it's like very long. It's just like very long map that like you picture that map and you think of the dual
I don't
Rangers.
mind. Okay, it's not a favorite map, but I don't mind it.
It's just too big. That's the problem with
It's
it.
big.
I
It
will
definitely
say
is big.
High-Rise and Terminal.
Exactly.
That's all we need.
And
Oh
that's
yeah,
the
I mean,
thing
High
about
Rise
these
and
maps.
Terminal are some of the best in the world, but
And that's the thing, is like the fact that we're talking about Derail, like Derail's not even terrible, and it's going to be the worst map at launch. And like the newer COD, Derail would be the best map in the video game.
That's what's so weird to me. It's like, have you thought about like why the map design of recent COD games have been this awful? Like, I don't get it. It's surprising to think about.
I think personally, I think it's because they've catered too much to the casuals. And like
Yeah.
and the camping and like the new engine, like Call of Duty, as much as you want to say, like the map design was always very competitive focused. It was always 3 lanes, like you had your 3 lanes on every map, and it just worked. Like they would just a smooth experience. And then like Modern Warfare 2019 hit, they decided we're going like a new engine. We want our game to be more realistic, kind of Battlefield-ish. And like ever since then, especially Infinity Ward, really hard has like Treyarch hasn't went fully on it, but Infinity Ward especially has like went really hard on like the casual play style and be like they want anyone to be able to just hop in and play their game, which is fine, but it's also not the Call of Duty we've played for 10 years before that.
Yeah. No, I also think just like the size of the maps is
Yes,
ridiculous.
and the size of the maps have been gigantic because they're like, I think it's because they're like experimented so long with like the 10v10, like when we went from 6v6 to 10v10 in Modern Warfare 2019, and they were like, oh, this new mode, like the basics gonna be 10v10, and they put all the maps like so big for that 10v10 experience, and
Yeah.
then everyone was like, we hate this, we want 6v6, and instead of making smaller maps, they just said, okay, you'll play 6v6 on these giant maps.
It's a weird thing because it's like I love like ground war. Like I am a sucker for ground war, but ground war works because like it works on like the classic Call of Duty maps.
Yeah,
On like ground war's 9v9, right? I always forget.
either that or 12v12.
No. In like with the older games.
Oh yeah, but I think 99.
Yeah. So like 9v9, like that. It worked because it led to such chaotic and insane firefights in ground war. You don't go to ground war expecting to get a 20 kill streak. You go to ground war expecting to get noob tubed 100 times and just laughing with your friends at like 12 in the morning. That's ground war. Now ground war is like, oh, last I played like a Call of Duty was like 2019's, like really seriously.
Mhm.
And I remember that ground war was like, oh yeah, now it's 64 players.
Yeah.
It's like this is just like it's a shitty battlefield now.
And
Like
it takes
what are you
place on like the
doing?
Warzone map. Like they're like, you just are playing on the Warzone map. The funniest thing to me is like Sledgehammer has done like, it's like Infinity Ward. Like Call of Duty looked at Infinity Ward and was like, everything you did in Modern Warfare, like the game that just came out, Modern Warfare 2, they're like, we're doing everything the opposite of what you just did. I mean, like classic mini maps back. Dead Silence, the perk is back. Like they're doing the complete opposite of what Infinity Ward has pushed on their last 2 Call of Duties, and it's so funny to see.
Yeah, really. I mean, I hope it's good. There is one more headline, Fusion. I know you specifically want to talk about this. David Vonderhaar is actually leaving Call of Duty. He says this over on Twitter. After an incredible 18 years and 8 Call of Duty games, I am moving on to explore new opportunities. And then he links his LinkedIn. Vonderhaar was Treyarch He worked on the multiplayer for Black Ops and the Black Ops games, and I mean I've always been a big fan of like those games as multiplayers. Oh, Black Ops 1 and 2 specifically, but still like Vonderhaar is definitely like a legend, someone very important in the industry. I mean, Fusion, do you have any thoughts on that?
I just want to say, like, I hope he got, like, at this point, I assume they do, but I hope he got all his hands in on Treyarch's next game, like the one that comes out in 2024, because, like, I feel so much more confident in a Call of Duty when Vonderhaar's behind it, and he's the one dude in the entire like dev team across the entire screen that has always been competitive focused first. Like David Vonderhaar has stuck up for like the comp side of Call of Duty. He's like he's always put in league play as in like a #1 priority. He's like that guy. So like him stepping down worries me a little bit about the comp side because I'm very big into the competitive Call of Duty and like the CDL and all that. That worries me a little bit, but like. He's also been working on Call of Duty for almost 20 years. So if he he's a smart enough guy where I think he can go anywhere in the industry and make a really good video game.
Yeah,
He's
and you
already
don't think
working
this
on the project.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like Sony might as well call him up, put him over there.
And you don't think this was like for any reasons over at Activision or anything? You think this is just like himself?
Nah, he left his.
No, yeah.
If he's already working on his own
definitely left
project, he's probably gonna try to do a startup like Deviation try to with Jason Blundell. I'm not saying he's gonna go to Deviation because even Jason left that, but he might try to do his own thing.
Because
Deviation game's a weird story in and of itself.
Even when Black Ops 4 was coming out, which I mean, not like when Cold War was coming out, he talked about like he had interviews and stuff about like he was thinking about retirement then, and that was a few years ago. Or like now he's not retiring obviously, but he was talking about like even back then he was like getting to the end of his Call of Duty career, like he was on it for like 15 years at the time. It's now 3 years later. Like I knew the time was gonna come soon. I just wish it feels weird that he's doing it now and not right after his new game drops. Because he obviously had probably a lot of hands-on in the next Black Ops, whatever it's going to be called. So I find it weird that like instead of saying it then, he's doing it a whole year ahead of time. But I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
We still don't know the situation of next year's COD, if it's even going to come out next year or what the situation is now that Microsoft is stepping in and the Sony contract is ending. But after working on 8 CODs, or shit, I would want to quit too. They let the COD community for that long. I'm like, I don't know.
Be going crazy, man. But yeah, any last thoughts on Modern Warfare 3?
No, hopefully it's
like
good.
shit.
I mean, we can all hate on Call of Duty, and it's funny to hate on Call of Duty, but it's still the #1 shooter. Like you will never like they still just know how to make shooting video games. And
ever since Titanfall,
the campaigns are awesome. Like the Modern Warfare 3 campaign will be good.
Oh yeah.
At the very least.
Well, maybe I hope so because Modern Warfare 2 campaign kind of disappointed me.
I think most people liked it.
There was a weird amount of. I feel like it was like kind of half and half. I don't know about most people because I saw a lot of people actually really negative.
It had some really good missions like Alone. If you know the mission I'm talking about, that was incredible. But besides that, it was very like mediocre.
Let's just get those older Call of Duty games on Game Pass.
I just hope he's not off to make some like COD competitor. Like we don't need another game like that Ubisoft shooter trying to compete with COD.
X-Defiant, put respect on them.
Oh my god!
Isn't X-Defiant like good though?
No,
it's not that.
Yeah.
Is it not?
It's still. It's currently still coming.
Yeah.
It is coming. They said
and
summer.
I will not touch it.
No, I hope you're right, and I really don't want him to be like, oh, I'm making this multiplayer like shooter game. Like I kind of wish he goes into like a single player like route. I guess we'll find out, but.
And before he goes to Deviation Games and then leaves with Jason.
I mean, I don't know.
Leaves the same day.
Deviation needs all the help they can get.
You don't even know what the fuck they're making. They're just making a game.
I know.
Well, no, that's weird because they were like, yeah, our game is going super well, and then like we had that report. It's like, oh yeah, like 90% of the people left.
Guys.
It was like a really large amount of the staff left. It's like, what the hell?
It wasn't even that. It was like the creators. They were like, you were done with this.
It's so weird.
Once they told me I couldn't put zombies in the game, I was useless, and he didn't know what to do after that.
Put some respect on Jason, like, because he's a great storyteller, that dude.
Moving on. This is a bit of a sad story. The Xbox 360 store will close July 2024. This comes from news.xbox.com. But you can keep playing your favorite games. Dave McCarthy, the CVP Xbox Player Services, wrote this. This November will mark 18 years since the Xbox 360 launched. It was a generation-defining consoles that invited many to jump into gaming for the first time and connect with friends around the world. Over the years, we've heard stories of players who found lifelong love of games. Okay, this is a whole thing. As we head towards 2024, we have a change to share about the Xbox 360 experience. On July 29, 2024, Xbox will stop supporting the ability to purchase new games, DLC, and other entertainment content from the 360 store on the console and the Xbox 360 marketplace, marketplace.xbox.com. Related to this change, the Microsoft Movies and TV app will no longer function on Xbox 360, which means TV and movie content will no longer be viewable on your Xbox 360 after July 29th, 2024. Between now and July 2024, you can continue purchasing games and DLC from the 360 store and the 360 marketplace. And then one more thing, this change will not affect your ability to play Xbox 360 games or DLC you have already purchased. Xbox 360 game content previously purchased will still be available to play, not only on the 360 console, but also Xbox One and Series X/S devices via backwards compatibility. As the big like kind of preservation head, I guess I'll go first. Obviously, this is just a sucky thing, but I think it is. Can I talk first?
Matter.
No, it does matter because there's.
When you think about it, I don't know. Finish it.
No,
it
doesn't matter.
Can I talk? Dumbass. What I'm trying to say here is there are still going to be hundreds of games that are not going to be playable anymore because of the 360 shutting down. What I wanted to say was that, yes, this is a sucky news story in that regard, not being able to play these games. But at the end of the day, this kind of thing is going to happen eventually with any storefront. And it's frustrating to see this happen because I want these games to be preserved in a better way. But at the end of the day, there's not much we can do other than voice our opinions about these situations. The 360 store was going to shut down. The PS3 store is probably going to shut down soon as well, now that Xbox has taken the first thing. Sony has already showed that they want to shut down the PS3 store. And now they're in a regard where they're more comfortable being able to do it now that Xbox has done it. Nintendo already shut down the Wii U and 3DS. It's just a frustrating thing because these games aren't going to be playable anymore. There's going to be hundreds of games that we can't play. But I will give Xbox credit. They gave us over a year, at least like almost a year, to be able to purchase these games, to play them. At the very least, I can give them that they allowed us so much more time than Nintendo and what Sony was going to do with the PS3, where they gave us like 6 months. But now Xbox is over here giving us almost an entire year to be able to purchase these games. So I can at least give them benefit there. It's just a sucky story, but hey, you know what? At the end of the day, this is going to happen. I accepted it. You know, this is just.
It's not that bad of a situation as you think it is. If Sony was the one doing this, it would be a big problem. But you have to keep in mind Xbox's backwards compatibility program, which is utterly amazing of how many games they brought over. Those games aren't going anywhere, and those are the games that people care about besides licensed titles. This is mainly going to affect licensed titles that they can't do because of licensing reasons. Those games are going to be missed, but those are like few and far in between. At this
it's
point,
mainly
everything
like
that you
licensed
named there,
games and like weird indie titles from like shovelware.
I still think just preserving those games is important, though. Every game should be preserved.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
So I don't think it really matters that stores close down anymore because all these games, just all the important stuff is here, and the things that everything's already dumped online. So people that really want to play those games are just gonna not get the old console and go play that game through piracy, like most people do.
I'm just saying there should be a legal way to do it, though. It's just weird that we have to say piracy with quotation marks.
So I just don't get butthurt about stores closing anymore because most of these games that people care about are on modern platforms and available through even physical media on modern platforms. So I just don't think it really matters because there's another option that's free and easier.
Another thing too, Xbox
I'm actually really curious.
Oh my bad.
But you got your point's probably better than mine.
I was gonna say that Xbox is still making strides in the backwards compatibility program, where they're still working out deals with these licensed games, as we've seen with the Activision deal, which is a little bit more of a different situation. But Hasbro, which is like notorious for shutting down games, they want the Transformers, the exclusive ones that they had games, to come to the backwards compatibility program once the deal goes through, whenever the fuck that's gonna happen. But yeah.
Fusion, do you have any thoughts on this?
It sucks. That's my thing. But this is also like, it's a whole nother topic. But this also gets back to a digital future. Like if there's a point where like physical media is gone, and like say the PS7's all digital, and then 15 years after that, the PlayStation 7 store goes down. You know what I mean? Then all those games.
But
It's
all
just-
these games that we're talking about are like there's just no physical. They haven't been sold on physical storefronts for like a decade. So why does it
No,
matter?
I agree at
It's
this
not
point.
that
There's-
it
there's
still
but it's more of
matters.
like
It's a frustrating thing. This just sucks to happen.
it's video games are one of the things where it's like so many other mediums try to like preserve their movies and like books and everything else. Books is like different, but like the video game industry, there's a big part of it that's trying to go the route where they're like, okay, we got to preserve these things because like video games are a form of art. And then there's people like you who are just like piracy, like they just don't care. So
Yes,
like there's never but there is a gray area we can meet in, but we're not going to get in the gray area if one side says they don't care and the other side says they care.
Like my viewpoint is always just like, what's the benefit to the consumer? Like that's always how I feel. It's like I don't know why it would be weird to celebrate this news. I
Yeah,
see people
that's my thing. Is
celebrating
like
it.
there is
So
not a
weird.
single con to keeping the store up. Not a single one for us
Well,
as
not for
consumers.
us, but
That's all I'm good. That's
Another thing I
we
want to
are
point out.
consumers. That's all that matters.
I don't know if you guys
That's
know
it.
this or not, or if you guys actually tried to turn on an Xbox 360 and view the storefront as of late. They did an update. I don't know when it happened. It was a while back. They did an update where that makes the store next to impossible to use. It's gonna take you like 2 hours to download or buy a single game from the Xbox 360 store and actually install it and play it. I don't know why they did that, but like the chances of you even going to the 360 now and buying a game is a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
The numbers I
haven't
really
loaded up
want
my
to
360
get.
in a while.
Yeah, that's the thing is these are the numbers I really want to see because if they were really transparent about this kind of stuff, I think a lot more people. I don't want to say would be more open to it, but it's more like getting faced with the reality that, oh yeah, even though we're being given this 11-month window to be like, okay, all these games that aren't backwards compatible and are only exist on the 360 store, go get them. We're giving you 11 months to do that. I'm actually really curious how many people and how many games are actually sold in this amount of time, or in the past like 5 years or so. Like how many games have been bought from the 360 store that are these games that, as we were saying, they're shovelware and all this other weird crap that isn't relevant enough in the modern gaming industry that Xbox saw, okay, there's enough relevant here to this game and it's easy enough to put in the backwards compatibility program. Like there's games from the original Xbox that are just playable on the Series X because of coding or whatever. They were easily available to do it, or there was a demand for it. They saw there was a demand for it, so they put in the effort to make it backwards compatible. So it's really interesting to see look at this list of games. I'm sure someone's going to compile already in the next month or so every game that's on the 360 store that's going to be lost to this. It'll be really interesting to see like what is it and how many people are actually buying it. And I wish we could actually get those numbers because I think it's not as big. Obviously, yes, things should be preserved, and as you were saying with like movie and television and books and all that, it's actually really fascinating to see how recent preserving actually was, even in movies. Like there are so many lost movies and TV shows from as early as like the late 80s and early 90s that are just completely gone. So preserving is still a new thing. So video games are just now catching up to what the movies and television was doing back in the 80s and 90s. So it's just a thing that's just moving on. But I think with games in general, actually, it can apply that to TV too, because there's just a lot of just random crap television out there. So these like shovelware games, who's actually like pining for these games? And if they are someone who are pining for these games, they already own them. So yeah, it's a lot of different gray areas.
My opinion, this would be a big issue as soon as Sony does it. But Sony has not really done much in terms of backwards compatibility, and that's going to be a big blow when that happens. But there's tons of games there.
It was a big issue when Nintendo did it because
Nintendo is a special situation because they do it and then they resell you the same
anything they
game
want.
at full price. Yeah, exactly. They sell you the same game that you bought at full price like a year later. Nintendo's don't even
those
start
silly
it. Like,
Nintendo guys.
Sony has a chance to fix this, improve your backwards compatibility system.
Exactly.
Wonder if we're going to get another. Wonder if we're getting another video from the completionist about him buying every indie
Oh,
title
he
on the
already
Xbox
tweeted-
360 store.
He tweeted about it. He's gonna do it.
Yeah.
Oh damn it! Oh,
Yeah.
that's gonna be a good video though. At least he's got a
That's a lot of
system now to
money.
do it. Unlike last time, that video was crazy.
And again, it's so
His
nice.
bank's gonna be like, what the fuck are you doing?
At the very least, it's so nice. We're getting almost an entire year to be able to buy these things, compared to Nintendo saying, "Well, in 6 months we're not going to let you use credit cards, and then in another 2 months you're not even going to be able to buy anything, but the store will still be up." It's like, what? Why are you making
You
it
remember when
confusing?
Nintendo? You remember when Nintendo tried to stop the emulation system in the 3DS? That
Oh,
shit
man.
got canceled so fucking fast.
Yeah. But yeah, that's everything in relation to that story. Next thing, we got some Starfield details. This comes from Okami Games over on Twitter. Starfield has officially gone gold. New details via dev Q&A. You can own homes in multiple cities, smuggle illegal cargo through security checkpoints, jail system confirmed. All faction storylines can be played separately. And then this is probably the thing I'm most interested in. 20 plus named companions in the game, each with distinct backgrounds and perks. Obviously, Starfield is looking like the biggest game we're at of the year, at least of the coming year. And it's nice to be able to get these details so close to launch, and just the fact that
Yes.
we're this close to launch, 2 weeks away.
Pretty much everything you hear about Starfield just makes me more hyped for it. 'Cause I mean, yeah, I'm just unbelievably ready to play that game.
I mean, I'm right there with you. I mean, this is easily my most anticipated game, and
You
since
can
Elden Ring,
smuggle and
probably.
crack, boys. Let's go.
I mean,
That's
smuggling.
what they said.
That's just exciting. Yeah, no, I see it. Smuggling alone, that's exciting as hell. I wonder
Become
what
a drug cartel. Let's go.
be able to smuggle. That's an interesting thing, honestly, in and of itself. Like, what can you smuggle? Like, what is considered illegal substances?
What if you become like a bounty hunter? You like smuggle people from different planets?
Oh,
That'd be
God.
crazy.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. I'm like trying not to get overhyped on this game, but it's not working. I keep everything I hear about it, I want to play it more and more. And one other thing, I mean, the thing I wanted to actually point out specifically, 20 plus named companions in the game. That is really exciting. I mean,
Yes.
the kind of one of the worries going into Starfield was that they kind of talked about companions like, oh, the people at Constellation, so like 4 people, and I was like, oh, are those going to be the only companions in the game? It's like, nope, 20 plus named companions. And there's actually another quote Okami Games actually put it right under this tweet. We looked back at our previous games and realized how popular and effective the companions were, so they were a big priority for us, and we really wanted to tie them directly to the main quest. I mean, that is so exciting in and of itself. I cannot wait to meet all the crazy faces. I mean, the companions in Fallout 4 were phenomenal, like Nick Valentine, Kate, Piper, like every one of those characters I loved. So I'm ready for
Actually, I have
some
a
more
complaint about
characters.
this. It's a slight like nitpick, but it's a complaint nonetheless.
Hey,
How
here
are you
comes the
gonna
hater.
have 20? How are you gonna have 20 named companions and only like 3 of them are romanceable? Why did they always do this to us? They did this to
The
us in
romance
Skyrim
thing
too.
is so frustrating.
They did this to us in
And it's-
Skyrim. It was catastrophic.
And it's only in the main group, right? Like the Constellation or whatever they call
Yeah, the
themselves.
Constellation crew.
You
What's
could
funny
have
is
is
Outer
5
Worlds
of them
did that
romance
too.
of them. 5 out of the 20.
Outer-
No, you get like 3. Like, what is this?
And they're all gonna
Yeah.
suck.
If they are like good romances and good characters, I don't really care.
They
but
did
the
say
thing
it
is,
was
the
gonna be
characters
really
are
in-depth.
great. They just purposely do not let you roam. They did
It's
this
just
in
weird. It's
Skyrim
like
with the DLC.
3
Bro,
characters.
I was foaming at the mouth.
You
Foaming.
talking
If
about
you know, you
Serena?
know.
Yeah,
If you
Serena.
know, you know.
Oh
Start
man,
crying.
Serena.
I swear to God.
That was painful. I installed the mod just to be able to like romance her.
Thank God for mods.
Yeah, really. That's gonna be the thing. It's like mods are gonna be able to that this game is gonna be playable for a long time.
Babe,
And also, I
other than that,
bet
I don't have any complaints.
DLC is gonna add companions. I think we can all agree on that.
Oh yeah, most likely.
Fusion, does this do anything for you? Like any of these points?
No, it's just more exciting stuff where it's like the closer we get to Starfield, the more excited I am. Like it's been my most anticipated for a while now. Like I think there's
But
almost like
Silk Song.
nothing. Well, yeah, other than that, but no, Starfield's my more
This year
anticipated.
games. That's why.
My Starfield
so
is
you're right,
more
you're right.
anticipated than Silk
See, at least
but-
Starfield actually has a release date.
Okay, guys. I'm getting,
Silk
I'm
Song
getting
2024?
It's just like-
Here's the thing, Fusion. I'm with you. I think it's this year. I think Silk Song is this year. But
It
could
is.
go
It's
up.
not even like I don't even listen
I
to the
believe
outside
it.
noise anymore. It's there.
No way.
But like It's more of
You say
like
Xbox? No, it's coming to Xbox too, bro.
it's like all the news they're going to give me throughout like from here to now, it's just icing on the cake because like I'm already so excited. They got me fully in with that deep dive like 2 months ago. Like all the like just the little stuff they're throwing out on us is just like whatever. Like it's just like I said, just more stuff to be excited about.
Okay, well, I mean, there's not much else to say there, except Starfield. Get hyped.
Yes, let's go.
Come in, boys. It's real.
Reviews are pretty soon.
Moving into our smaller topics, we could go through these pretty quickly.
But I have to make an announcement though.
Well, yeah,
that
go for it.
that in 2 weeks I will be the only person on a Slice of Gaming podcast because everyone else is going to be too busy playing Starfield.
I won't be
Yeah,
there. So.
I'm gonna be done
It's
with
gonna
it
be-
before anybody
Yeah,
else.
yeah, I
I'm
was
getting
gonna
it late.
actually
What the
mention
fuck?
this. Fusion is over here talking about, hey, yo, I'm so excited. My most anticipated. You ain't playing it at launch.
Yeah, Fusion, you really
Rose
love
with-
to
This
play it
motherfucker.
at 30 FPS.
Hopefully my Xbox is sold by then.
Damn.
I'm selling my
Fucking
Xbox. soon, but
hater,
it's sold
bro.
by then.
I mean, I
And
get
Wolf will
it.
be
Like,
gone.
I love 60 FPS gaming, but like, also, I can deal with a game on 30 FPS. But I
I
understand.
can't tell the difference. We should predict the Metacritic.
You can very
for
much tell the
Starfield.
difference if you have working eyes, but hey,
Yeah.
it's okay, bitch.
But like
We should
it's
predict
but
the Metacritic for Starfield.
I can 92. I can be very excited for this game and also wait on it because it's just so like when
Yeah,
I
that's fair.
but it's also that thing where it's like the moment I get to play it at 60 FPS, everything's out of the way. Like, but you know what I mean? Like if
That's
I'm
true.
playing it the moment I am having that opportunity. But
Silk Song is gonna drop, and this motherfucker is not gonna play it. He's gonna be the last one out of the group to play it. I swear to
Yep.
God.
Silk Song 60
It's not
FPS.
120
It's not
FPS like
120.
you play.
It's gonna be 59 FPS, and he's gonna be like,
I'll have
okay.
my PC by then.
Oh my god, that's when you're off the podcast, man. I don't make the rules.
Yo, you think like making a PC is gonna help all your
Like
problems?
for
Bro, the recent PC ports of games? I don't know, bro. Have you seen what's going on with that?
I mean, it's a Bethesda game. The port will be fine.
Okay,
I think that's.
I'm just talking about other games in general. But,
Yeah, no, that's fair.
This
I mean,
PC is
Jedi's-
the inferior platform to consoles.
He said it, not me.
Okay, that's a take.
Moving on. To hopefully less controversial towards Fusion news. This is just a quickie. This comes from Okami Games, also on Twitter. Like a Dragon Gaiden will launch with a special demo of Like a Dragon 8 Infinite Wealth. Need to beat the game to unlock it, and includes an exclusive scene not featured in Like a Dragon 8. I'll talk about it more in what I've been playing, but I have been still playing Like a Dragon, or Yakuza Like a Dragon, because they decided to change the whole series to Like a Dragon to avoid confusion, leading to more confusion. But hey, you know what? You do you, Square. You do you, Sega. But I guess just in this regard, like I'm not really interested in Like a Dragon Gaiden, because they said like, oh, this is a return to the beat 'em up gameplay. And let me tell you guys, I hated the beat 'em up gameplay. So I probably won't be playing this game, but it is really cool to be able to get a game where you beat it and you get a demo of the next game. I think the last game I can remember doing that was Final Fantasy Type 0 had a demo for 15.
That was the
That
whole
was a
reason I
while
bought the game.
That's the whole reason
Okay, but
anyone bought that game.
To be fair, the game is not bad, but like, that's why we bought that game.
Wait, does this do anything for you? Are you a fan of Like a Dragon?
Nah, I'm just gonna wait until someone plays it on YouTube and I can just watch whatever their demo for Infinite Wealth is.
Smart.
Yeah, I don't care about the game, but it is cool to see the game like just have a demo in it after you beat it. This is just a cool thing.
Yeah, it goes back to kind of the old days of gaming. It
Yes.
I it's just, man, that beat 'em up gameplay. It's like, oh, come on, you changed it to good gameplay with the turn based, and then you go back to the bad gameplay. I don't know. I'm like, I feel a lot of Yakuza fans really like that beat 'em up gameplay. Just, I don't like it, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Moving on. This is an interesting story. Hi-Rez Studios is allegedly cloning actors' voices with AI. This comes from Justin Carter over at Game Developer. Voice actor Henry Schrader has claimed Hi-Rez Studios, developers of Smite and Paladins, is using AI to clone actors' performances without their consent. Schrader further claims that the developer is actively refusing to add a measure into voice actors' contracts that would allow them to turn their voices being used for machine learning. Those unnamed actors, according to him, were told they can't even see the contract until they signed the NDA. This means that VAs who signed that NDA can't even warn people who might be new or might not know better against working for them. So that kind of came out, and then the actual CEO of Hi-Rez Studio came in and said, "Where are your sources? Because as the guy that approved an AI writer for voice talent that includes the following, I think you're full of poop emoji." Oh, it's a funny guy. That he actually sent this picture of the contract. Client agrees not to use or sub-license the performance to stimulate talent's voice or likeness or to create any synthesized or digital double voice or likeness of talent. Interesting development. Moon, you're the big Smite guy. Any thoughts on this? I know you're big on voice actor too, as well.
Yeah, well, granted, I haven't played Smite regularly in like 4 years or something like that.
Other than when you ghosted me.
It always sticks with you.
So the thing that came out was, granted, if you've been paying attention to the voice acting community at all, the AI plague has been big this year and the previous year of just companies going left and right to try to just cut all corners and cut voice actors out entirely. Like we're having the entire indie scene on Twitter has been resorting to AI voices because they don't want to pay even small time voice actors to voice in their games. So it's been a whole big problem. But this was definitely one of the first like big companies, big quote unquote, because I mean, yeah, Hi-Rez is on the bigger side. It's like they're not indie, but they're not like big AAA. They're like some medium-sized AA studio. But I think the reason that caught a lot of people's eyes about this is because a lot of both big voice actors and small voice actors can get a lot of work through Hi-Rez because Smite hires a lot of voices. Because not only does their game Smite, as well as some other games they make, they employ a lot of actors. Like Smite itself has over like 120 playable characters in its game, and each skin, like microtransaction skin that you can get for each character, also has unique voices. Like in one of those tweets there, you can actually see Hi-Rez and Smite in general currently has the most amount of unique voice actors in a game. I think it's like 200 actors more above like Skyrim, who was like on the lead for a while. And the thing is, though, Smite just keep getting bigger. They keep adding more characters. They keep adding more costumes. So yeah, the whole contract comes out. They said that, yeah, it says to be able to replicate it. Of course, the CEO then, like you said no, we're not. But then there was the clause that came a little bit later after that yes, there's no replicating, but in the case of your demise, in the case of your death, we are able to use AI to replicate your voice for any future needs. And of course, so this got all hubbub, and he bowed to peer pressure, and like 20-30 minutes later, he got his lawyers to remove that because, granted, this is like the scummy part. He said, I didn't think it was a big deal. It was like a last resort kind of thing that I just wanted in there, but I see that people aren't happy with it, so I'll take it out. So he basically said, yeah, I was going to do it just in case you died. I didn't see it as a big deal, even though a lot of people have been fighting this for the past year. But it's just to try to make myself look like the good guy and take it out. Even though he said, I don't want to deal with the lawyers to change the contract, but yet he was able to make change the contract like 20-30 minutes later. So it's a whole mess. This whole AI problem is a mess, not only in art, but in voice acting and just everywhere else, and writing. I don't know, if you pay attention to the creative side of video games and movies and television and all that, AI is just plaguing the industry. And it's a big problem that we need to get some kind of legal action on. Pay your writers, pay your voice actors, pay your animators, pay everybody. Don't be this cheapskate and use AIR, because we will find out and you will be blacklisted. As someone coming from the voice acting and writing community that I am, it's like we will blacklist you, and your word travels fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just scummy practice, and hopefully, I hope this is like going to make an example out of other companies. Like, we will find out and we will come after you.
I mean, hey, the writing and voice acting community seems to be extremely tight knit, very close together. So, I mean, it like you said, word gets quick. So hopefully that's a message. And obviously with the SAG-AFTRA, they're called. You know what they are, but the strikes going on, the Writers Guild and everything. And actually, I heard VFX artists are also unionizing from what I
Oh
heard.
yeah, some of them are
That's
like the big one that is. It's the Marvel people are.
yeah.
And-
It's sending a message to these corporations. It's like, hey, you can't just like exploit us. You know, you have to actually like treat them like people.
What's
You
funny?
gotta
The
be
funniest thing that has come out of this is, it's like they're trying to all these big corporations are trying to use AI to replace all these creative people. When in reality, AI can do the job of these CEOs much easier than these artists. It's like we know we need to be replacing CEOs with AI. Like, why are they
they'll probably
making all
have the
this
same
money?
treatment.
You gotta be a twisted motherfucker to even like with like full confidence write this into a contract and be like, yeah, sign this. Who the fuck thinks like that, bro? It like it honestly like boggles my mind. Because like it's fucking reaching like slavery type shit. It feels like I don't know.
Jesus.
Totally
Maybe
not. It's like who thinks
maybe
of
a bit
this?
much, but I don't know. Yeah, no, I agree. It's pretty insane. Moving on. Fusion, this is for you. Alan Wake 2 is actually getting a slight delay. This comes from the Alan Wake 2 developer table. The Alan Wake 2 development Twitter. An update from the Alan Wake 2 team. We're moving Alan Wake 2's launch from October 17th to October 27th. October is an amazing month for game launches, and we hope to do this date. We hope this date shift gives more space for everyone to enjoy their favorite games. We can't wait to show you what everyone's favorite novelist is up to in the dark place next week. Thanks for your patience. I mean, overall, like that's actually a pretty good delay because that game was going to come out like 4 days before Spider-Man. So
Yeah, and Mario, like if
yeah,
and
no.
it was a really good, and I like that it's like right next to Halloween. Like it's like it's the week leading up to Halloween, so like you get the Halloween vibes. Like I think the delay was overly like it should not hurt the game at all.
Exactly. I mean, and just in general, like this is like Halloween vibes games, survival horror. Like I hope the game is scary because I'll be honest, survival horror games have not been scary as of late. I need this game to really freak me out.
They said they were going pretty horror with it, so let's hope.
Yeah, let's hope. Remedy, great studio. Let's hope they can do this right. Right. Moving on. Shinobi over on Twitter has this one. Assassin's Creed Mirage has gone gold and is launching a week earlier on October 5th. You know, speaking of games being like pushed back, pushed forward. This is a funny news story. I mean, Fusion, this is also on you. Like, what do you think about this?
And also just one of those things where like this push, like if anything, it's going to just help it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's no con to pushing it forward.
Everyone's trying to just get out of the way, the big stuff in the middle of the month.
Exactly. I mean, Spider-Man 2, Mario. Wasn't there something on
Yep.
October 11th? I forget. Or was that? I think that was actually
was
Mirage. Yeah.
yeah.
Lords of the Fallen is that week, which I know isn't like huge, but like it's picking up traction. Like they
Man,
just want it was that it was just a week of just like all these games were the exact same week. So like two of them are like let's go before that and after that.
I love how they actually directly said in the Alan Wake one, where they said, "We are purposely doing this so that we give you more space." This is not polished. This is like the game is done. We just want to give a little bit more space for you guys.
Yep. And a lot of the
Last.
games coming out
Oh, sorry.
in
Go
the
ahead.
middle. A lot of the games coming out in the middle of October aren't super long, so
Exactly. Last news story. This comes from Niche Gamer. The Pokemon Company might slow down game releases to improve quality. Written by Primal. Pokemon fans who noticed the last few games had a staggering amount of bugs and glitches might feel relieved to knowing the Pokemon Company is aware of these issues. The Pokemon Company's chief operating officer, Takato Utsunomiya, recently divulged in an interview that they are contemplating whether or not to slow down their releases to better the quality of their titles. This quote, I think in general, if you look at the past, the path we've taken up until now has been this constant release, always regularly releasing products on a fairly fixed kind of cadence, you might say, Utsunomiya said. Always having these products able to be introduced and new experiences for our customers, and that's how we've operated up until now. He added, quote, I think we're still operating in that way, but there's more and more conversations as the development environment change about how we could continue to do this, while making sure that we've ensuring really quality products are also being introduced. Now I'm gonna immediately ask you guys off the rip. Does this actually mean we're gonna get a slowdown on Pokemon releases being once a year?
no.
Probably not.
I mean,
I don't
maybe they just
think
make
we will get. I still think we'll get like the once a year, but there might be a delay between all of them, and they might space out. Like maybe they'll do more spin-offs, so they can have like they almost might pull a COD. What COD was doing is where they'll have like 3 to 4 teams, and just like, okay, we'll have this team work on this game, and while that's being pushed out, we'll have the other teams work on this. So each team gets about a couple years to work on their game, which I think is what they're already kind of doing, but they might expand it.
What
What
really
if they
messed them up
just,
is
like-
they had Brilliant Diamond and Legends within like 2 months when they could have been each on its own year.
And
And
to
they
be fair with
decided
that,
not
was
to
two
do
different
that.
teams.
Yeah, that was
Sure,
that was
they
a
could've-
entirely
they
different
could've
company
spaced it
too.
out. But they also could have completely spaced that out and made it work for them better, and they decided not to, which they could have done to help Scarlet and Violet, and they chose not to. So
Yeah, they should have delayed Scarlet and Violet. They could have rode Legends Arceus for a year. But being so close to Diamond and Pearl is probably not that big a deal because they're two completely different games. But they should have held on to Scarlet and Violet. Like, we didn't need Gen 9 that quickly.
Exactly. Like they could have very easily just done like Legends Arceus like in where Scarlet and Violet released, and then Scarlet and Violet would be getting this year. Like I don't know why they didn't just do that, honestly.
What if, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but like, I know that the new modern Pokemon games have DLC. What if they just make it like one complete package and just spend longer on it?
never, because the DLC
You're
still
asking
sells
way
so well.
too
Yeah.
much.
DLC
Yes.
sells, so
I
Especially
mean, they're
keeps the
talking about
conversation
improving.
in the game.
They're talking about improving quality. If you want to improve quality, just make one complete package and just spend more time on it.
no, they'll
They
make the
wanna, like,
complete.
ride
DLC
the
is
wave.
kind of the equivalent to the third game now.
Yeah, because
That's
what
Yeah, the thing
happens
is-
is they're gonna make
Yeah,
the
go ahead,
complete. They're gonna make the complete first game, but of course, then they want to ride and like any other company. No, this is not just a Pokemon thing. This is just a games industry thing where you're gonna have your complete game, and then you're gonna have the DLC expansion to bring people back to your game. So that's just always the market. So yeah, they can work on and clean up and make as big as the original games they want. There's still gonna be DLC later. There's gonna be some kind of expansion later.
I don't know.
It's an
Is
interesting.
there like more modern thing?
but-
Sort of. Did it start with Sword and Shield? Or did it start before that? I feel like it's
Uh,
Sword and Shield.
Sword and Shield was
yeah.
the first one to do DLC.
Yeah, because
Shield
Sun and Moon
DLC
had
was really
Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
I mean, that's
Sword
a
and Shield
re-release
DLC was
though.
also really good.
It was a
If you want
re-release with
DLC for
expanded
Sword and Shield
material.
was better. The base
Um,
game for Sword and Shield is fucking awful, but like the actual
Nah.
DLC was pretty good.
The DLC was I like the base game a lot, and the DLC was very good. I don't know if I'm gonna play Scarlet DLC right away, but it's definitely saying I've already bought and will play because I know it'll be good.
What I
I-
find interesting about these comments is, I think what it was really going to help the Pokemon company. Now, this might be just me being overly optimistic, but the fact that the Pokemon anime now is not directly tied into
Yeah.
the games per se. They're now
Yeah,
doing
that's
their
really
just
good.
own separate thing. Like, they don't have to be following along Ash's journey. Like, as soon as Ash goes to the next region, it's like, oh, we got to drop the last region and have to move on to the next one. Because they're off doing their own thing now. They are going worldwide and doing their own adventure with totally different characters and everything. So the fact that they're not tied to the anime now, they might be like, okay, maybe we can actually give a little bit more time for the game development. Because now the only thing that's holding them back is the TCG, which I think the TCG could easily hold on releases for that. So the fact that the
I miss
anime
that.
now can now act independently and the games can be acting a little bit independently from each other might actually be helping us in this fact. And I don't know if that was planned. And it's like, okay, so we found our core problem is the fact we tie the anime and the games very closely to each other. So let's break that, and and that's how we'll move on going forward. But let's hope they take advantage of this, and hopefully that's their plan going forward.
I
It's
miss
fun-
Ash.
I mean, here's the funny thing though. Scarlet and Violet sold 10 million in 3 days. They technically don't really need to. Like that's kind of the like sad thing is that like
Yeah.
with how well that game sold so quickly, it shows them it's like, oh, I guess we can just rush out broken products with no real repercussions.
I do
That's
think that
frustrating.
is kind of a rarity because they sold it on the fact that it's the first like open world Pokemon. Whereas the next game, if it's another open world Pokemon and it's still buggy as hell, that is where I'm pretty sure it won't be a significant decrease. But I think even if the next game actually is good, we might actually see a decrease in this game because we're not going to be riding on the hype of, oh my god, it's the first open world Pokemon game. Like that was the like selling, especially after the hype of Legends Arceus being as good as it was. So it was riding the Legends Arceus hype of coming from here's your beta test open world, now here's your mainline Pokemon game open world, but now here it is being an ugly mess. So going into the next game going forward, depending on, I'm sure there's going to be some other spin-off game between now and Gen 10. There's going to be like Legends Unova or something. There's going to be something before we get to Gen 10. So depending on the performance of that, but I do think we see a slight fall off of sales because of the backlash of Scarlet and Violet, and maybe they'll take notice of that. But yeah,
I hope so.
it's still gonna sell gangbusters. But I do think we see some kind of fall off.
Noticeable. Like it'll be like, oh, okay, this one didn't sell nearly as well. But yeah, that's pretty much all the news. But we actually got a topic of the show, and this is going to be a fun one. TGAs are coming up. Jeff Keighley arising from his coffin. Well, actually, he's going to be arising from his coffin for Gamescom next week. But then he's going to go back into his coffin and then rise yet again for TGAs. And I mean, that's going to be in December. And we've been kind of like thinking about it. We've been discussing a lot like on our own time. But like, what is going to be the lineup for Game of the Year at the TGAs? And, you know, maybe other companies. But mostly we want to look at like the TGAs as like kind of the baseline, like what we, because that is the biggest game awards show of any other like podcast or not podcast. What am I saying? Biggest game awards out there, like more than DICE, more than BAFTA, all that stuff. I'm sorry.
Well, one thing I wanted to bring.
Well, okay, we got a lot to talk about. First, Fusion, I heard you like kind of mumble a bit.
No, I was just saying you're just so excited you're stumbling over your words.
I have been stumbling over my words this whole podcast. I apologize to everyone watching.
But I just wanted to say the reason why this topic is coming up now and not like in October, so coming a little bit closer to TJs, is because at least in the circles that we run in, it definitely seems like Baldur's Gate 3 threw a wrench into a lot of people's predictions. So
Oh yeah.
I think that's the reason why we're kind of not talking about like, oh, does Baldur's Gate 3 actually make it in now? Like none of us heard about this game like 3-4 months ago, and all of a sudden it's everywhere, and it's getting like all these amazing scores. Does this disrupt what we kind of expected the Game of the Year lineup to be at the TGAs? So that's how this discussion came up, and that's what we're going to get into.
Exactly. And I guess I want to start this whole discussion off real quick. What are the locks? What are the games that are going to be there no matter what? You cannot imagine the like TGA lineup without these games.
Zelda
and
Zelda,
Starfield, the
Baldur's
two
Gate.
locks.
I think Baldur's Gate's a lock, but I seem like
Yeah,
I'm
I
in the
think it's a
minority.
I
No,
don't
I
know,
think it's
man.
a
I
lot.
don't think
I
it's a
I
lot.
don't know about that.
There's not a world where you guys are calling Starfield a lock before the video game comes out, but are saying Baldur's Gate's not a lock right now. As we
I can
know
tell
it.
you why.
Listen,
I can explain my point. No, it's not that I'm biased. The talk behind Starfield compared to Baldur's Gate 3 and the talk behind Zelda compared to Baldur's Gate 3 is dramatically different. Yeah, the game is selling incredibly well, and I'm glad that they're doing well. But at the end of the day, Game of the Year comes down to talk and what people think. The fact there's not that much communication. Well, not communication, but like hype around it. Besides, like the few that are like super into it like that.
You can't. You say this, but it's the 6th highest Steam game of all time. It's
Yeah, I
the
feel like all
highest
I see is
rated.
people
It's the
talking about this
highest
game.
rated PC game of all time. What more could it do to have your hype? Like it's what else is there to actually do?
Ask the people, motherfucker. Who you want?
Well, okay,
but the people
I
aren't
actually,
voting for a Game of the Year. It's critics.
That's the thing. It's gonna be the critics. That's
And
why.
every
That's
critic has
my
given this game a 10. Like it's going to be
like
there.
there's like 20 reviews. That's
No,
the thing.
it's up to 60.
Is it? Let
Yeah,
me check actually.
I'm telling
On
you.
Metacritic?
Yeah,
6 games in there, right?
it's like a 96, 97 right now. And
It's
that's
6
I don't
games
know.
in the Game
Yeah,
of the
it
Year.
actually fell down to 96, like either today or yesterday. It went from 97 to 96. Wolf, did you leave?
No. My mic.
Having some technical difficulties.
Hang on. Technical difficulties. Just cut this part out.
Edit
wait.
post.
Thing. When I said Baldur's Gate 3 Metacritic, that's when like all my audio fucked up.
So you didn't hear all the
There's 6
roasting we were
games.
giving you?
You were roasting me?
No, no.
Fusion's being a dick.
There's 6 games in the Game of the Year, right?
Yeah, there's always
6.
been 6.
Okay.
Sometimes I think there's been 5, but it's usually 5 or 6.
Do you want to just like say, we had quick technical difficulties and then jump back in, or how?
I mean, the call doesn't, or the record doesn't catch people leaving or anything, so we're good.
Okay, so I'll just like continue off my point.
Yeah.
But no, you say Baldur's Gate 3 had what's called 60 reviews. Is this on Metacritic?
I think it might be, but OpenCritic might have it too.
Because like
the reviews that came in.
my viewpoint hit 55 reviews. Okay.
That's I mean, and it's still what, like a 96 right now. Like it's going to be
yeah,
up
it's a 96. Yeah, I mean that's my viewpoint though. I feel like the people who reviewed this game are going to be the ones voting on the committee. That's just my. That's why I don't think Baldur's Gate 3 is a lot, because I don't think that committee is going to have those reviewers.
I mean, there are definitely some that are going to be like, here's IGN. IGN is definitely on that
IGN just
committee.
gave it a 10. Game Informer
but
gave it a 9.75.
But that's one. That's like a few people at IGN, a few people at Game Informer, versus like the tons of people who are going to be voting for Zelda. Like I feel like there's way more Zelda fans at IGN.
Well, that's the thing, is there's 6 slots. I'm sure a lot of votes are going to go to Zelda. A lot of votes are going to go to, the way I think it's picked.
I
was just going to say, like, I think how it works, I think it's some kind of like choice rank voting. So they're all going to put the 6 games, and of course, almost everyone's probably going to put Zelda and Baldur. So most likely both are going to fit on there.
I have.
If we're just talking about 6 picks, then yeah, I could see Baldur's Gate being there. If it's gonna win, that's a different story entirely.
No one said.
Yeah, we're not talking.
It's not gonna win.
Yeah, if we just talk about picks, then yeah, I can see it being there.
And I'm in the minority that I think it might win.
There's no way in hell it wins.
It's not.
I'm sorry.
I'm just like, I think this game's going to come. It's like the minute it hits PlayStation, it's just getting another revamp. Like the PlayStation community is like seizing over wanting to play this video game.
The PlayStation?
What do you think the PlayStation community has over the Breath of the Wild community?
I'm not saying that, but you gotta think of like Tears of the Kingdom is an amazing video game, but like we're not. Baldur's Gate came out of nowhere and it's doing exactly what it needed to do. Like it's being the greatest CRPG of all time. Like it's just doing
that's the thing though. I feel like the genre is just like it. I don't know. I feel like that genre doesn't really get the respect it deserves at the Game Awards. Like I feel like
it's been such a like, but it's become such of a like, I don't want to say cultural phenomenon, but like a gaming community phenomenon. Like we have never seen so much coverage from like your average Twitch streamer, your average Twitter user, TikToker, or whatever, like covering like moments in the game, like sharing their like highlights or whatever. Like I just watched a TikTok of someone getting magically transformed into a wheel of cheese. Like this is getting along the lines of all the weird contraptions you build in Tears of the Kingdom. So there's definitely a following to this similar to Tears of the Kingdom, and people are talking about it, and it's getting people into this genre. Yeah, it's a genre that's underrepresented, but this seems to be like the perfect game to make it seem like, oh, these CRPGs, they're cool. Maybe we'll be excited for the next one that comes out, but this one's really good. It seems to be a good introductory one for people.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't have enough faith in the voting committee to put it there. That's kind of my viewpoint.
I think it definitely is. I mean, looking at the list again that we wrote down here, I don't know, unless
you're gonna like, there's not 5 games on that list that you're putting over.
Yeah, there's not.
Hey, I wanted to talk.
Obviously,
quick,
I think we can all agree. I think we can all agree on Starfield, Zelda, and I think we've come to the conclusion. Yeah, obviously, winning is an entirely different conversation, but I think we're at the point now of critic scores and just gaming community phenomenon that it's going to get enough votes from the press that votes for this. That's going to get in there. Now, the other 3 is where things get a little bit more iffy.
This one game I really want to bring up, but Bench really wanted to list his 6 games. Go ahead, Bench.
Yeah, I have my list of 6. So I think Tears of the Kingdom, Final Fantasy 16, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, Starfield, and Resident Evil 4. I think that's the 6 we see at the end of the year.
So that's the game I wanted to mention. Fusion, your favorite. Resident Evil 4. Do you think that gets nominated?
No, I don't think so. If let me tell you, my villain arc, if I see Resident Evil 4 on a list and Baldur's Gate's not up there, I'm off the podcast.
If Resident Evil 4 wins over Baldur's Gate, it's living in the correct timeline. Let me tell you.
No. You can blame Jeff. Don't leave the podcast. We're not the ones to blame.
I would never blame Jeff.
I'm out of the video game industry at that point. Just get me out of it. Like, I mean, not a world where that happened.
Look, Game of the Year it's meant for games that came out in this year. Meaning, if you like it or not, Resident Evil 4 remake is qualified.
My hot take is not getting nominated.
Okay, well, my viewpoint is that like I don't think it's gonna get on there, but for different reasons than Fusion, because I think there are other games that are gonna get on.
Yeah,
there
that's
before.
my thing. Is I think it probably would in any other like normal year, but this year is so stacked. It might just not get on there because there are just other games that people are gonna be like, oh, yeah, Resident Evil 4 was good, but it was Resident Evil 4 again. But like Starfield though, Baldur's Gate though, and all these other games.
Like, there's no
But
way it's getting on over Mario Wonder.
And I don't
Like,
think
Mario Wonders is
Diablo
on there.
4 could
nah,
split,
Mario Wonder's not
because I
gonna.
think
Mario Wonder's not gonna get there.
no, I said
Really?
Diablo 4. Oh, Mario.
Well, we got Bench. I know you didn't say it. Moon said Mario Wonder.
Mario Wonder won't be on the
That,
list.
no, I was
Sorry.
no Fusion was
Rosa-
saying
Rosa-
Mario
Rosa-
Wonder. I was saying
I think it will be.
no
I could
Fusion.
see
I was
Mario
saying
Wonder
no
being-
Mario Wonder. I don't
we
think
got
it's
we got
gonna
a
be
lot
there.
of conversations going on at once. So let's like recycle it back. Okay, so Mario Wonder, does that get onto the list?
No.
No.
Yes.
No.
Why?
Yes.
My
Because
viewpoint, I
from
think
what we've
critics are gonna
seen-
go, "Wow, this." They're gonna say it's cute, and then
From
put
what
it.
It's
we've
gonna
seen,
win fam.
I don't
This
trust
game
it's
it.
has
gonna win
so much
Family Game of
life
the Year.
into it. It has so much life into it.
Oh,
And
I
like
bet.
so, like they're reinvigorating the 2D Mario thing. It's gonna
I
be
bet
up
it's
there
gonna
if
be
they hit
great.
it.
No,
It's a chance.
no,
It'll
it's
be
gonna
There's
win.
a chance it can miss. I'll give it that. But the chances of them missing from what we've seen are so slim. If the
No,
game
it's-
Oh, it's
delivers,
not gonna miss. The
it's gonna
game's
be
gonna
crazy.
be great. The game's gonna be great. I just don't think critics are gonna give it the respect it deserves.
No, it's
I
just
bet-
they're gonna be like, yeah, it's
it
really
won't
good, but it's
stack
just
up.
another 2D Mario at the end of the day.
It's
It
just
won't
not
stack up
enough
against
to beat.
everything else.
Like that's the thing, though. It's gonna be
This is
better than all those
Nintendo's
other
year to
games.
sweep.
But these are critics. I just have to be real.
You have the
These are
2D game
critics.
stigma.
They do. Yeah, no, critics do.
Yeah.
That's the
Yes.
thing. They
That-
have
it
a
won't
very
get up
severe
there.
2D game stigma. It's a weird thing. It was a listen. Metroid Dread only got up in the 2021 because 2021 was a horrible year for games.
Getting
So
Kirby
Metroid Dread
was Kirby in there last year?
No, it wasn't. In
No.
the game of the year,
Really?
Xenoblade over it. We're not starting that conversation.
Okay, yo,
But
don't get me
still.
started. Don't get me started.
Forbid.
I'm still mad it didn't win Best Music. Okay.
Okay, that's actually a crime.
I'm-
It should've
I'm
won
only
Best
mad that
Music.
it didn't win Best Music because Elden Ring didn't win Best Music. How the fuck did God of
And it-
War?
is
God
that-
of War has a great
Elden Ring-
soundtrack, but Elden Ring
Did God of War even have music?
and the
had,
main
like,
theme.
Did Elden Ring even have music over Xenoblade? It's crazy.
Okay,
that's
what are
Jeff.
you talking
That was a
about?
Jeff.
You are
open.
not. No, you are not out here telling me Elden Ring didn't have music. The main theme, Morgoth, Malekith, the final battle, Fusion,
All
the
of
final
those-
battle.
I was
You were
too
working
busy
on
trying
Xenoblade
not to
music.
die to listen to the fucking music of that game.
I'm listening to the Xenoblade soundtrack. I got my freaking. I got my pajamas on. I'm going to bed with that soundtrack. I listen to Elden Ring. I'm ready to fight for war, man. That shit was fucking incredible.
We fought,
How the hell-
we fought for world peace and freedom in Xenoblade 3.
Elden Ring, you fought a dude in a boat. How is that not more hype?
Because he's
I'm
just
just
a
a-
dude in a boat that's easy to kill.
Okay,
I mean,
that's
he's looking right there. That boss was kind of
disrespectful,
ass.
No. You're disrespecting boat, man. All right, I can't take this anymore.
My
Elden Ring had a-
one,
So
we're getting off track.
okay, so
Fusion, go ahead.
the topic I think we should move on to is a lot of people that we know and other people that I see online are starting to think that both Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man 2 are going to get snubbed. And I do think that's actually a possibility.
There's no
I
way in
agree.
hell that game gets on there.
I don't see
I'm
that.
sorry.
Well, I can
It
see
was
one
too
of them getting on,
divisive.
but I don't think both of them are going to
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah, one of them might, but definitely not both.
That's
I
the
think,
thing.
I think they'll both make it. Also, I don't
I don't
think
think so.
Diablo 4 is on the list. I think a stigma from the game past launch will carry through
Yeah, Diablo
into
4
For what game?
voting.
shot itself in the Diablo.
Diablo,
Oh, Diablo
shot
4 is
itself in
not
the
going to go
foot.
there.
It
Diablo
shot
4
itself in
even
the
though
foot
it-
post-launch.
As
Its
a game,
launch
it
was
probably
really good.
deserves that recognition, but it shot itself in the foot. With
Yeah,
The
because
launch,
like the
and
season
then the
one,
first update
all the
post-launch
post-launch
was
stuff.
fucking ass.
No,
Yeah,
what's
I mean,
really
everything
funny.
there.
You know what's really funny is Diablo 4 comes out. It's like, oh, it's like it's really good, and then they stumble over their own feet, and then Baldur's Gate comes out and says, "I'm you, but better."
It was just a really bad timing from Diablo. Like that was the thing. It's like they had that awful update, and then Baldur's Gate 3 came, and then the PC community was like, okay, we're gonna switch over to Baldur's Gate instead. Like that's pretty
Look,
much what happened there.
Blizzard makes Square Enix look good with how much they fuck up. Let me tell you, it is
It's just
crazy.
weird. I mean, I really want to get back to the Final Fantasy 16 though, because like Bench is adamant about it being on there. I think that game was just so divisive at launch. I mean, we had a whole spoiler cast, very interesting conversations to say the least, like differing viewpoints, and that like I think we have like somewhat like the same viewpoints on games. So like even us being divisive is pretty wild. And just the whole industry in general. I saw a lot of people give that game like fucking 5 out of 10s, which I wouldn't even go that far.
I don't
but, like,
think it
Yeah,
wins
that's
a
a
single
bit, man.
category, but I think it's up for a lot of stuff, including Game of the Year.
I
It's
don't
like the
think
one
so.
on the edge.
it might get a couple things like actions game and maybe
It'll be up
music
for
or something.
action. Action
But
and music.
it'll be up
is-
for
It's
music.
not gonna be for Game of the Year.
Hopefully
Yeah.
it wins music, but I doubt it. Even though it
Wins
should.
music. The one that actually the game that should win music is the one I don't think it's gonna be up there. Dark or not Dark. Fusion Moon, Hi-Fi Rush. There's no way.
That's the big snub of the year.
Yeah, it is
That's the big snub of the year.
It is.
Man, that one hurts because I know for a fact it's not gonna be on there, but it 100%.
I would
should
be
be.
And
like,
we
so
know
happy
this
about
game,
it.
and like if this game came out in like 2022 or 2021 when there was like nothing
won.
coming out, it would. I don't know about winning, but it definitely would have been. If Stray can get nominated for Game of the Year, fucking Hi-Fi
I
I
Rush
was
could.
gonna say, okay, that's my one question. Is like, it seems like every year we have like an indie shows up, and
It's too big
I'm
of
not
a year
saying
for that.
I'm gonna say it might be, but I think like I don't know if Jeff has it where he just wants an indie always, so he's gonna ask for an indie. I don't know how it works, but I'm just saying what number on a rating scale would Sea of Stars have to hit for it to be up there? Because it's the only indie that would get
No
It gotta
number
be
that
up
it
there.
could reasonably.
It's not gonna.
attain.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
It gotta be crazy.
unless it's an unspoken rule that
That's what
we
I mean.
don't
I
know
feel like
about, that there has to be one, then maybe Sea of Stars will get in there. But if there is no like rule that you need to nominate an indie game, then yeah, there's no chance for this year.
This might sound weird, but could you consider Baldur's Gate to be like
That's not an indie game.
It's not
Their
like
studio
an indie
is
game,
def-
but like the smaller,
I mean,
like thing because
Their
Their
It's,
studio-
it's,
I don't
know
it-
enough
it's a
about
it,
massive
but-
game. 6 years of development time, like 400 employees. That is not a small game.
That's a double A studio.
Yeah, you
it's
could
not,
say double.
It's not like it is kind of like the thing that came out of left field though that a lot of people didn't expect would grasp them. So I think it kind of fits the.
I mean, it's the same thing with like The Witcher. Look what happened with The Witcher 3. Because The Witcher 2, have you played The Witcher? It's not as crazy as The Witcher 3. Witcher 3 kind of just came out of nowhere. It was fucking insane, and everybody fell in love with it. But isn't by no means are they like a small studio.
Yeah,
They just finally got their break.
I mean, exactly. Like it's not like a small studio. It's just like it happened to be the one that got popular. Like that was the game that really did it for people.
I should play Divinity.
you should.
Moving on. I guess like I'm just gonna throw out some random games here. Dead Space, Hogwarts, Armored
Nope.
Core. I think we can all agree stuff like that, like Wolong. These
Dead
are like
Space
just like
deserves it
games
more
that,
than RE4.
I got 2 dark
I don't
horses
know
that you
about
guys are gonna
that.
both hate,
Hold up.
but
yeah, go for it.
Shoot 'em.
I think like I genuinely think if like the survival horror aspect of Alan Wake 2 is good enough, like that game's going to score really high. We'll see, and it's on every platform, like it's gonna be played by a lot. That one's like that's a dark horse. My darkest horse though, like if it's Assassin's Creed Mirage, just hear me out. I'm talking about like if it's a classic Assassin's Creed game where people have been wanting this for like years, like we're talking about almost a decade at this point, and it just nails it. I mean, like perfects the gameplay, perfects the parkour. I don't think it will be up there, but it's one of those games where it's like.
Here's the thing.
If you gotta say "hear me out," you already know.
No. Here's the thing. I think they could nail it as much as possible. It could literally be as perfect as possible. I feel like there is a stigma from the critics that they're not going to put it up there.
It
I
also
genuinely
just
I can explain why it won't be.
Alan
even
Wake-
if this was like the most perfect Assassin's Creed game ever, like it was the best in the franchise, yeah, there's that stigma, and also it just doesn't seem like the type of game they nominate for Game of the Year. Just the style of game that it is.
No.
Alan Wake
I'm
has
not
to be
even-
better than RE4 for it to be nominated. That's just that's the thing it has to surpass, and I don't think that's likely.
It seems like easy.
I'm not even gonna go into the Alan Wake situation.
Whoa,
'cause
Fusion.
that's not even- What he say? I didn't hear.
He said,
Ignore
"Oh,
it.
that's
Ignore
easy."
it.
Hold on. What he say?
I mean, Fusion, listen. Our original RE4 is a better than RE4 remake, but still, RE4 remake is great.
I think so.
So going on to the the Assassin's Creed. The whole point of Assassin's Creed Mirage is to go back to form of games that weren't even that crazy. Sure, they're good games, but they're nothing like exception or anything. They're just going back to making good games. Even if they hit it off the park, you just gotta get a good game out of it at the end.
Although I did forget that Assassin's Creed Odyssey did get nominated for Game of the Year.
Yeah, it did get nominated.
Yeah, but that was like a weaker year for. Oh, actually, no, that was 2018. Well, how the hell did that get nominated?
Odyssey is. Odyssey was like okay. It was the change in Assassin's Creed that people were wanting. It was Origins, but then they perfected what they did in Origins to a lot of people. A lot of people still consider Odyssey like this top tier game. So yeah, it is an anomaly. Like you almost forget it's an Assassin's Creed.
I mean, it is always funny. I mean, you look back at like a lot of years for Game of the Year. When you really think about it, it always is like 2 games and then just 4 filler games. I feel like that always happens, like very much at Game of the Year. Like, look for example, 2018, Red Dead 2 versus God of War. 2017, Breath of the Wild versus Mario Odyssey. 2022, Elden Ring versus God of War Ragnarok. Like, it's always like this weird thing of like these 2 games and then just 4 filler games. What do you guys think?
Zelda versus
like,
Starfield.
Is there gonna?
It's gonna be a 3-way this year. It's gonna be Zelda, Starfield, and Baldur's Gate.
No, Baldur's
Gate, baby.
No, bro, no, it's not going to be on the same level as Zelda and Starfield. Hang on.
I think Zelda and Starfield going at it.
I think you're gonna be surprised.
Who invited Baldur's Gate to the party? That's all I'm asking.
Baldur's Gate, I think, I haven't played it, but maybe it's comparable to those games. But I think Zelda and Starfield are both the 1v1 because I think that's just like the big names.
I do. That is something that's just said. I do want to mention none of us have played Baldur's Gate 3.
That's my point.
So
Like, if it wins, I'll put my nuts on Binch's head or something.
Wait,
whoa, thank God.
Wait.
Whoa.
Like,
Bro.
the slander for a game no one's played in here, or no one's even played a Larian video game in here but me.
I'm slandering the critics.
Don't you shit on games you don't play all the time, though?
Yeah, honestly though. Bro, when I was playing Pikmin, Fusion was in his like fucking villain arc.
That's just a troll. That's just me being a troll. You guys are being serious.
No, here's the thing. I'm not slandering Baldur's Gate 3. All I'm saying is I'm slandering the critics because I don't think they're going to give it the respect it deserves. And that's why
they're giving it the respect right now.
Fusion's saying that you can fuck a bear. He's like, this is Game of the Year quality right here. He's like, this is going to be up there.
Is there any other games we want to? We didn't really discuss Spider-Man 2. Like, does that have a chance?
I think that makes sense.
I feel like
if Spider-Man 2 goes up there, FF16 is not. It's gonna be either one of those two. You can't have both.
It's gonna be one of the two.
And then, like, I would bet my entire livelihood that Final Fantasy 16 not better than Spider-Man 2, so it'll be up there.
You gotta stop saying this stuff because it's gonna bite you in the ass one day.
Yeah, no, be careful, man. I think Spider-Man 2 is gonna hit though. It's Insomniac.
Like, I just don't. That's a safer bet than Starfield. I think Starfield will be up there, but it's more like that's 100% a safer bet than Starfield will be.
No, dude, Starfield's my most anticipated. Spider-Man's like much more of a safer bet.
I don't know why. I don't know if this is kind of like a gut feeling. I have a feeling Hogwarts Legacy is gonna be in there over Baldur's Gate.
If Hogwarts gets in there,
that's what it feels like. I don't know
how I leave the gaming industry.
The internet melts if that happens.
No, I mean the meltdown and then just like Hogwarts. Like, you know what's funny? That whole like huge debate about Hogwarts. And the game was like what, like a 7 out of 10? Like Fusion, you played it. Like it was like what, like a 7, 8?
I liked it. I think I gave it an 8, but
yeah.
Okay, so it's really interesting to think about. So we're all saying Zelda, Starfield, Baldur's Gate, and then we're kind of agreeing that Spider-Man, Final Fantasy 16, one of the two is coming. That still leaves us 2 spots.
No, I think both of those are coming.
Yeah, so that's Bench's list. He thinks both of them are coming.
And then RE4.
Man, honestly, looking at this list, it's tough. I guess we should. Why don't we all like? I think we should all like, go around the table, give our personal 6. I mean, you said you wanted to say something though. I'll let you talk first.
Well, I'm just saying, like, once I'm looking at it like that, like we're all kind of agreeing on the 3 of Zelda, Starfield, and Baldur's Gate. And then going under the assumption that one or the other of FF16 or Spider-Man gets in there, and the fact that we still left with 2, yeah, suddenly RE4 Remake suddenly starts making more sense.
Honestly, though, like looking at the list, because like I know Hi-Fi Rush is getting stopped. Like, yeah, I do actually think Baldur's Gate. okay, if you want my real take, here's my real take, guys. The reason I don't think Baldur's Gate is going to be there. This is the reason I don't want it to be. Does it really have a sexy song for the orchestra? Do you think they're gonna?
I don't
Is there
know.
going to be a good enough
There's-
song
there's-
for the Game
I don't
Awards
even care
There's
about
orchestra?
got to be some music in there.
Yes, Divinity has like amazing soundtrack, so I
Well,
assume
wait a
Baldur's
minute.
Gate has a really good soundtrack.
Hey, hold up
You
now.
would hope. I hope so.
Looking at the list, that is really Liza P is there, and I played that demo, bro.
I was
That,
thinking
that has
Eliza P a
potential.
little
I
bit. I was
can't
thinking
imagine.
Eliza P.
Nah,
I want it
that's
to be
that's
there.
an 8
It
out of
has
10.
potential if it hits. If it hits, I don't. From the demo, it was incredible. If it hits, it can be up there.
What
Here's-
about
here's
Armored
what-
Core?
I feel like, yeah, Armored Core I mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't think it's
surprised
going
you
to
guys
get
aren't
there.
fighting for Armored Core.
I want
I
Armored
think
Core
it'll
more
be-
than anything. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be too niche for the critics to really
Yep.
like give it respect it
Yeah.
deserves.
Yep. Armored
I,
Snore.
I don't know why you put Wolong on this list here.
I know.
I
It
just
hasn't
threw on
even
random
looked
games.
at-
Well, that's the thing. I just threw on random
It has like
games. I mean,
Does
there's
Street
no
Fighter
way.
have any chance? Like Street Fighter is a really good
I,
video
would,
game. that
I
people
Uh,
seem
thought
to
Street
love.
I
Fighter
don't-
had a chance, but it's
I
too
don't
big of a
think
year.
fighting games just don't make it into the game of the year. They're going to win their respective categories and stuff, but yeah,
Mhm,
they don't make game of
exactly.
the year.
I guess to
Um,
round it all up, I mean, do we want to like kind of give our personal six? Bench, you can recite.
I
yours
don't
again.
know.
Okay. Oh, I gotta find the note now. I wrote it down. Put it down.
You already forgot your six on the
Bro, I
show?
forgot.
He
Okay.
forgot his six.
Well, it's okay. Tears of the Kingdom, Final Fantasy 16, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, Starfield, and Resident Evil 4.
Okay, Fusion. What about you?
Baldur's Gate 3, Tears of the Kingdom, Starfield, Spider-Man 2. I'm the only one here that's going to put it. I think Mario Wonder will be up there. I want to
I
say
hope
Silk
so.
Song, but we don't
I
know if
even
it's
said
coming
it was
out.
gonna be up there.
Bro
Final
said I
Fantasy
want to put Silk Song. Oh man, Fusion.
If it comes out,
If
it's on the list. If it's not,
if-
Final Fantasy
if it-
16.
if it comes out, I mean, here's the thing: if Silk Song does come out, like it's not, it's gonna like be past the date, cutoff date. I feel.
We'll
Silk
see.
Song's not coming out this year, so let that little idea leave your mind.
I believe. I'm with Fusion. I believe.
You just sound
Fusion
like my
keeps
mom
acting
right
like
now.
he's the one who's been fighting the war.
He ain't
beat
even gonna
Hollow
play
Knight
it day
this
one, bro.
year.
I'm getting scammed.
We've been dogging on
Bro, the-
Fusion
The
too much.
PC port, the PC port of freaking Silk Song, if there even is one, I'm not even sure. It's gonna run at like 30 FPS or something. And Fusion's gonna be like,
That's
dead
their
to me.
whole platform.
The game came
Hollow
out
Knight-
first on PC.
Hollow Knight came out on PC first.
I didn't know that part. Okay, that's why I said I don't know, but like, it's gonna
Oh
come
my
out like
God,
30 FPS on PC.
This bro thinks he knows everything. I mean, Dark, do you have a six that you think?
I mean, I'm looking at the list now. Zelda. Let's see what else is there. Starfield, of course. I'm gonna say Lies of P.
Oh, that's a
This
risky
is
one.
weird. I think Lies of P has a
Making
chance
it
if it hits
messed
it.
up.
I hope.
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
If-
because
if
I
it
genuinely
hits.
don't have a list. If it hits, but I don't really care about like the sex things. I'm pretty sure Zelda's just gonna sweep everything, to be honest. But
But you can save all the
Mario
games, I
Wonder.
promise.
No, I'm good. RE4 and Hi-Fi Rush, just because.
This is a wild podcast. I should mention here in our element tonight. Vin, do you have your six?
Yeah, so definitely Zelda, Starfield, Baldur's Gate. I'm gonna say Spider-Man 2, and then much as I don't want to say it, Resident Evil 4 remake and Hi-Fi Rush.
That's
Hi-Fi.
cool.
You're not, dude. I want it so badly.
No.
There's no way. There's.
I
You
told-
reacted to when he said it, but when I said it, you said, "Look."
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that he didn't react when you said it.
Oh,
he
did
He
Dark
wasn't
say it?
listening.
I
Yeah.
was listening. I'm sorry.
Well,
He
Doug
wasn't
was saying his
listening.
list. I thought he was making half the games up when he was talking
So-
about them.
See, once I actually like started counting them, like, oh my gosh, 6 games, and I'm still under this assumption, like if people have been saying Spider-Man or Final Fantasy 16, one or the other. If we're not including both, suddenly games like RE4 and Hi-Fi Rush suddenly start making more sense. Now, granted, if Liza P is a massive hit, then obviously, yeah, that's going to get factored in it. But the fact Liza P isn't out yet and such a big what if, but at the moment, I could almost say Hi-Fi Rush might just squeeze in there at the last second.
Hey man, that's gonna make for
No
a great
way.
Game Awards orchestra over Baldur's Gate. Like, what's gonna freaking play? Brown, some dumbass trumpets and like horns. Come on, man. You get Hi-Fi Rush. They better get 9-inch nails on stage for that one.
I'm filing harassment.
You haven't played Baldur's Gate. Don't act like
I'm just like, it's just insane.
Like he's gonna do
I,
conflict bears. He's like, this is my time.
my 6 games. I do agree. Zelda, Starfield, Baldur's Gate. But then from there, it does get interesting. I think Spider-Man 2 is gonna make it. I hope, at least. And then RE4 remake, I do think it's gonna get there. And then honestly, the last game, that's the toss-up for me, where I'm not really sure what it could be.
This is
I
where
think
Hi-Fi Rush slips in.
If Hi-Fi Rush slips in over Final Fantasy 16, Hi-Fi Rush, if it slips in over Final Fantasy 16, Wolong Fallen Dynasty, I mean, guys, come on, that has a shot. But like all
Didn't
these
you
other
hate that
games,
game?
like, no, I didn't hate it. It just went on way too long. It was like a
Octopath
7.
didn't get a single shout out, by the way.
There's
I
no way in
know. It's
hell.
like,
There's
I mean,
no way in hell.
it's gonna win something because it was really good.
I don't think it's even gonna
Best
win any.
HD 2D.
It might win
like,
music.
No,
It could be
dude.
nominated.
Because half the
nominated for
critics
getting
haven't
nominated.
listened to half the critics haven't played Octopath 2. They're like, oh man, JRPG, EOPU.
Yeah, exactly. That's why
They're gonna
Xenoblade
like
didn't win music last time.
for a good reason, because even God of War soundtrack was better than that. Moving on.
You start.
I'm sorry. Listen,
Live it
I
up
will
to the
say.
name for real.
I will
for
say. I
Just
will
say
say,
Alan
dude,
Wake 2. You want to.
I'm not saying Alan Wake 2. I can't imagine.
Fusion,
that
what
would be
crack
good.
are you on?
It's not gonna be. It's not gonna. Well, it's not gonna be RE4 remake and Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, it's gonna be one or the other, and it should be
I-
Dead Space.
It's gonna be the one that actually came out this year, like a
Honestly-
real 2023 game.
Yeah, okay, when did
You're
Resident
gonna
Evil
be
4
at
remake come out,
Jeff's
Fusion?
house.
Fusion, let me ask you, when did Resident Evil 4 remake come out? Hey, for the podcast. Because I thought.
Bro is he left. He's like, I can't handle this much harassment. We've
If I
been
just,
so
if I
aggressive.
just, if I just ignore him, he'll go away.
Honestly,
It's like Alan Wake 2? That
Looking-
shit, that shit, bro.
okay. Looking at the list again, the last game, I agree with Fusion. I think Mario Wonder actually can make it.
Dude, I don't understand why
yeah,
you
I
did
agree
show
too.
off. Like the last, I understand the last Mario was like the 3D, like the Odyssey was huge, but it was nominated. Like it was up there.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's just such.
I agree, it can be up there.
conversation, honestly. Yeah, I mean, that Game Awards orchestra is gonna go crazy though. I think we can all agree there. I mean,
Dude, the flute guy, it's like
Oh,
always
flute
there,
guy.
just killing it every time.
the only reason I want Final Fantasy 16 on there is so that we can get the music at least.
That-
But I'll still
that
be
would be
disappointed. I'll
insane.
be like, well, who let this guy in here?
How do you get in there?
I'll be honest though, like best music category is more interesting to me because it's like, I hope Hi-Fi Rush wins that at least.
The music game doesn't win music.
Dude, it's gonna be like Final Fantasy 16. I already know. God damn it. Okay. But yeah, any more thoughts on just our viewpoints on game awards and everything handling there?
No.
That's gonna be a fun episode
that's
once
it.
the actual nominations actually happen.
Yeah,
and we're gonna
no,
be like,
that's
this was
it.
Oh,
snubbed.
that's gonna be fun.
It'll be fun to see who was the closest.
Yeah, for real.
We should write these down and see who's the closest.
It's gonna be all of the games that we didn't nominate.
Oh,
Like
yeah, this
Armored
lineup
Core
is-
is on there.
This lineup's gonna be
Sorry.
Street Fighter 6, Wolong, Octopath, Hogwarts.
Yo, Zelda and
I don't know
Starfield
why
won't
you
even
guys
be
were
there, bro.
I just love how like out of all the games, you guys singled me out for Wolong. I just threw stuff on there, okay? And it's like, wow, this idiot put
It just like
Wolong
it stuck out like a sore thumb when you're looking at the rest of the list.
more than Hogwarts.
Yeah,
More than
than
Alan
Hogwarts.
Wake 2? The fuck?
Okay,
Oh
not
my
even.
god.
Yeah.
Alan Wake
And
2
we-
is gonna be good. Okay, let's calm down. Let's
Is
calm
it
down.
though? I don't know.
Is it though?
The
I
last
feel like
Remedy
all the
game
money's
was up
going
there
to
for
the
Game of the Year.
Okay,
Right,
it's
Control
Remedy,
was up
though.
there.
Control, yeah, Control
It
was
was up
amazing.
there.
Yo,
that's Control,
Control. That Game Awards orchestra performance for Control, that shit was fire. They got the dude on stage like singing the opera. That was fucking amazing.
They got the dude on stage.
Yes, it was a dude on. What do you want me to say?
It just sounded funny.
Just like Modern Gate will win. That's my prediction. Reroll the tape 4 months from now.
Oh, Fusion, I wish I had your confidence. Moving on to what we've been playing. Moon, I want you to go first because you finally.
You
beat
guys have
something.
been egging me about this
Yeah.
all week. But yes, I finally did beat Dead Space. So that was a lot of fun. Granted, it kind of fell apart in the last couple chapters for me, at least. Like, I don't want to say difficulty wise, but like the lack of horror survival went more into action survival, with just the last couple levels of you just fighting off just swarms of enemies. Like, hey, remember this like mini boss from a couple chapters ago? He's back again. So yeah, that was annoying, but finally beat it. Good time. Hope they remake Dead Space 2 at some point, because I would also be down for that. And then I started Stray Gods. I only just got through the first act, and it's definitely my kind of shit. Like, I enjoy musicals and performance and like choose your own adventure kind of story games. But the biggest problem with this game comes from the art direction that they're doing. They're doing that still image storyteller thing, and normally I'm not. Normally I'm okay with that because Till Dusk Till Dawn or whatever. What was that game last year from Xbox?
Dusk Till. Wait, I think.
As
oh
Dusk
my
Falls.
God.
There it is.
That-
As Dusk
that-
Falls.
that's- I was like, wait, what is this called?
I was perfectly fine with that game, and I really enjoyed that game. And I know a lot of people were put off by these still motion animation, whatever. I don't know really what that style of animation is called, but people were put off by it. I wasn't. Now they're doing the same thing in Stray Gods here, but the problem is that it's fine for all the regular cutscenes, but as soon as we get to the musical performances, it becomes kind of awkward. Like, here you are having these voice actors like belt out these songs, but all you're seeing is just this still image of a man or woman just like have their mouth open and then just like they're belting out this song. And like musicals, because they go into like this magical, like, as you know, in musicals, the world gets all weird to go with the music. And this happens the same thing in this game, but it's just still images again. So you have this people flying around doing all this wacky stuff during the musical numbers, but the still images are just still images. So half the fun of musicals is kind of lost on this because you're expecting, people dancing around, singing and whatnot, and all this other wacky stuff happening, and it's not happening, or at least it's happening very slowly in the form of still images. So that's my big gripe about the animation direction. It was just a poor choice of a combination between this art direction and what the game actually is. And I think the reason why they went with it is because of the way the game is set up, where during dialogue and especially choices during the songs, it changes based on choices that you make, whether if you're more aggressive or you're more compassionate or whatever, because there's usually 3 dialogue options, especially during the songs, of how you want to take it. And even the music changes when you make these certain selections. So I would think they chose this direction for the art because I can only imagine lip syncing 3 different outcomes of each version of a song that you're doing probably would have been a big pain in the ass. So now they just have still images to edit instead of having to mouth animate a bunch of lip flaps for various different scenes. But anyway, it's a good time. I got through Act 1, and I think there's like 3 acts, so hopefully it won't take me too much longer to beat this.
I do want to mention.
You haven't beaten it. Oh, go ahead, Rick. Go ahead.
Oh, there's a change the topic. I don't know if you want to go first or not.
Well, no, because Fusion's also been playing Stray Gods. I wanted to transition to him, but you ruined it. So just go say it, team.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe like that. But Moon mentioned RE2 and how like towards the end it becomes more like less survival horror. Not RE2. Fucking Dead Space.
RE4.
I'm tired.
Dead Space, yeah. I'm tired too, man. I'll get it.
Dead Space 2, by the way, is not scary whatsoever. It's just a hallway shooter. You're gonna enter a room. There's gonna be like 5,000 people, and then you shoot them all, and then you go to the next room and repeat the same process. They just completely ditched the whole horror aspect of it.
Yeah, that's a little frustrating, honestly.
Yeah, because it definitely loses its scariness factor, especially when with your own character, with Isaac Clarke. It's like he's at first in the first game, you don't know what's going on. There's this thing that's killing people that you've never seen before. Now in the second and third game, you're a bona fide monster killer now. Like, you know what to do and what to expect. So yeah, it's a lot. It's lost.
It's RE2 to RE4. Like, Leon goes from like this like rookie who doesn't know anything to just being the what's it called? This ultra high badass stoic motherfucker. Fusion, you were also playing Stray Gods. I actually wanted to hear your thoughts on that because you beat it.
Yeah, I did roll credits on it, and I really liked it. Like, I thought I should tell you, I think Moon, the game gets better as you go on. Like, I think the musical performances like got stronger. I think the voice acting is like This is one of the best voice acting casts I've heard in a long time. They have
Like,
basically
I have nothing against the
everyone.
voice acting or the music has been kind of like dull for me. Like, they build up and build up. Like, okay, it's cool, something big and grand is gonna happen in the song, and then it kind of just ends.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
And
like
then
they're teasing me.
I can understand the like the art direction a little bit, because even like I didn't like As Dusk Falls art direction like even a little bit, but I still played the game and enjoyed it. I think they do it a lot better in this game, but I also have weird ways where like because of the stillness sometimes where like the animation, it felt like it was giving me headaches at time. I don't know why. I assume it's the way they're like moving the characters and like the way they do it. But other than the art direction, I really liked. I wish I understand it's a visual novel. I wish there was more gameplay elements of kind of like a Life is Strange where I physically get to move my character. I get to like investigate by actually moving everything. Like
Yeah,
every
that would have been
investigation thing
really
is just
good, especially the
exactly.
investigation scenes
Yep. Yeah.
where instead of moving around a room and clicking on stuff, no, you're just on a menu. You're like,
Yeah. Like
investigate this, investigate this.
every like you never get to move your character at all. It is all just like you're clicking through a menu, which is like I understand that's the type of game it was, but I think it would have benefited from like a little Life is Strange, like you get to move around like even your apartment or just wherever the environment you were in. If you got to move around and interact a little bit, I think that would have been really cool. I enjoyed the game as like a whole. Like I it's not like my favorite indie I've played this year, but it's also like I think the story, like I'll remember the story for a long time. And I think Laura Bailey does a fantastic job at voice acting Grace, and like other than Ben Starr, she's probably my second favorite like performer this
I
year.
love Laura Bailey so
Yeah, she
much.
does really good. She does really good
She's
in
the
this game.
best.
So like yeah, I recommend Stray God. It's like I think it's $30. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's $30. So like it's not too expensive. It took me 7 hours to beat. Like it's a short game, but it also is a type of game where you can replay and do like a
yeah,
bunch of like
they really
reruns.
encourage you to do at
Yeah,
least like
like
3 playthroughs.
yeah, there's a bunch of playthroughs you can do and like different options. See how like the narrative unfolds. And then after that, I started Rayman
Okay, here we
Legends.
go. Let's be all right. You got to be careful here, Fusion.
I the last Rayman I played was Origins, so it's been forever.
Okay.
I just never got around to Legends. I liked Origins. I think Rayman's a cool like franchise, a cool like character, and I just wish like we got more of him. And I'm only like a world in, like I did the very first world like yesterday. I really enjoyed what I played of it like so far. I think the movement feels a little like stiff, but that's also just I feel like this game's over a decade old, so comparing it to like a modern day platformer, like it's just you have like the modern day controls that just feel a little better. But like the art style is really like holds up really well. Like the game
Oh
still
my
looks
god,
really
so
good.
beautiful.
It's like for like an early PS4 game, it still looks really good, runs very well. Like I'm having a good time with it. Hopefully, I don't know how long it is, but hopefully over like it's that type of game where
It's short.
yeah, it's the type of game where I feel like I don't have to. I can just get like random play sessions in. If I'm like I just want to beat a few
It's
levels, like let me
very
just hop on and
relaxing.
play it. Yeah.
I'll say this about your viewpoint on the controls. I actually agreed with you in terms of like the stiffness, but like the thing is that the level design is so built around those controls, especially later on, where like they very much build those the levels they build them around how good you get at that game by the end. So
Mm.
like you're always like starting to like really learn new things, learn new ways to like move around, maneuver, get around like the controls that allow you to really feel the movement. Because like I always say, it's like it's my favorite 2D platformer of all time. Like one of my all-time favorite. The meme. It's one of my favorite games of all time. But I mean, I really am serious when I say this game is phenomenal. But I never say it's the best controlling 2D platformer. I just think it's the best 2D platformer in terms of like the aesthetics, the levels, the
It has a lot of
design of
levels.
everything, the music levels. Oh my music levels. They are so freaking good, especially later on. Some of the songs they choose are insane. Um,
It's good to hear.
it's very, very exciting, and like
It
like
was that
a
go on.
short game. Oh yeah, no, I
Yeah.
was just gonna say it's like a short game, very fun. Like you said, it's just such a fun game to just jump in, play a few levels, and hop out. Like I still have it installed on my PlayStation. Every now and then, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna hop through a few levels of Rayman. It's just an addicting, not even addicting. It's just a relaxing game to like chill out and just screw around. Especially if you play co-op, I really recommend at least trying co-op.
It was one of those things where like I got the PlayStation Plus, I got upgraded for $9 because Sea of Stars comes out like in 2 weeks. So they let me, and then Rayman Legends was on it. So like I was gonna play Inscription, which I've heard like really good stuff about. I think
Yeah.
that game came out. Was it last year or the year before? Either way, I've
It
heard
was,
really good
yeah, I
stuff.
think it was last year.
Like it was getting
Uh,
Game of the Year hype,
yeah.
but I was like, okay, I just played a visual like novel basically. Like I want something with pure gameplay, and I was like, Rayman Legend's the perfect game for that. Like it's just pure. Like I don't know if there is a story. Like I'm just the story
There's
tidbits
a
I've gotten. I've
pretty
been like
intense story.
the story bits I've been like like pretty mid, but like I'm just like it's just that game where you grab your
I mean,
controller and you're just playing, and it just feels good to play.
so I think if you come to the next session, you beat it, it's like, yeah, I loved it, but if that story was better, I'm gonna be mad at you because it's like that's not what you come into Rayman
Yeah,
for.
no, but that was my point. Is like I went from I've been playing like really story heavy game where I just wanted a game where I could shut my brain off kind of and just like pure gameplay, like fun.
Oh yeah, it's exactly that. Just pure fun gameplay. Those music levels, man. Dude, I want to go play that game right now. I'll go really fast. I'm still playing Yakuza Like a Dragon. I'm still loving it. I'm at a point of the game where I've been told I really need to grind up chapter 12, and that kind of scares me. But also, I think the game has been fun enough to where like I just like jumping in every few hours every day, just screw around, do some side missions. Like that game is so addicting. I could play it like all freaking day if I really wanted to. So yeah, the Yakuza Like a Dragon still a great game. Bench, you want to talk about Trails?
Yes, I beat Cold Steel 3 a couple weeks ago, and since then I have started Cold Steel 4, and I'm about 30 hours in, and it's just still continuing to deliver. I mean, I haven't played a whole lot of games in the last week, but from what I've played, Cold Steel 4 is just very good. It's continuing what Cold Steel 3 built and delivering on pretty much a lot of past and questions and stuff from the series so far. I don't have a whole lot to say because I still haven't gotten to the meat of it yet. So
Hey man, I'm excited to hear more. And then Dark, you've been playing what's it called? Red Dead 2. You beat that game. Oh, I really want to
Yeah,
hear your thoughts on this.
I
Bad boy.
played it and beat it. So I want to preface this before I get into this. I am not crazy. I'm not really a big fan of Rockstar games. They never really clicked with me. But I was in the mood for something different compared to all the JRPGs I've been playing as of late, and Red Dead 2 was catching my attention, so I went for it. And it was absolutely incredible. This game lives up to the hype that it has around it in every way. Like the storytelling, the characters. My only complaint about that I have with the game is that it does drag out a little bit. Like some missions, they don't need to be there. And the gameplay is the same as GTA. If you play GTA, you know how this game plays. But man, it was an experience from start to finish. It took me around like 50, 60 hours, so it's a little bit chunky, but I think anyone can go through it, but you will get attached to these characters and have the time of your life with them. Lots of highs. It didn't really have any downs whatsoever, besides it dragging very slightly.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
besides that, that's about it.
I mean, pretty much everything you said there is exactly how I feel about Red Dead 2. I think that game is a masterpiece. I think gameplay wise, it is the weakest aspect. Maybe not the weakest aspect of the game, but like, it is very much just like GTA, but also it's not real. The shooting gameplay isn't really why I play GTA
It has
or Red
the
Dead
Deadeye
Redemption.
feature. So the Deadeye
Yeah.
feature, for those who don't know, is kind of like you slow down time and you can, with a revolver, any lever action weapon that you have, you can pretty much like calculate where the bullets will go, and then like when the time finishes, you just start shooting automatically, and it's really cool when it happens. But besides that, it's the same as GTA.
And that story, man. That
I was
story
I was
really
gonna
good.
ask, how do you think
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
controls are? Because that's one of my biggest things. Where like
What do you
like
mean?
story is great, but like the Rockstar control still, where like you're spamming A to
It-
run,
it's-
like
Yeah,
things like that.
they didn't fix that. I'm
I
afraid
don't know how we're this far and they still have you spamming A to run. It's
it's
just
not like
funny to me.
it's not an issue for me to do it. Like my fingers don't cramp up, but I am afraid I'm gonna break my controller. Of how many
Yeah, I know
fucking
you gotta like
press it.
spam
Man.
it.
I'm like, can you just make it so I can just tap? I know they have like toggle to run, but it feels weird. I don't know
Yeah,
how
yeah.
you're struggling. You have so much money, you can do this. I swear, it's not that hard.
Yeah,
But
that was
man,
one
it
of my
was
things with it.
it is an
Those controls
experience.
are. It's just that story is so good that it just like lets me. I don't want to say ignore the issues because like I don't even think the issues really affect
It's
me
very
as much
minor
as
issues.
other
Like they're
people.
very much
That's the
nitpicked.
thing.
Like you
Yeah,
gotta
like
be like
that's
really look for them.
the thing is that I think for other people, like Fusion, like says how the controls really bothered him. They didn't bother me as much And it really is just comes down to the person. Where like if someone says like these issues really hampered their experience of Red Dead 2, I completely understand. It's just that for me personally, I was so enthralled and captivated by the narrative that like there was just not a lot to stop me from like really getting immersed. And that's the thing, the game is so immersive. Like I feel like I lived in that world when I played that game for like that month of
I
December.
don't know if this is a weird analogy, and I know I mentioned this to you, Wolf. This is very much the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom of cowboys. It feels like that. It feels like you're inside that world.
Nah,
And I
I
know, like,
don't know about that one.
that's my take. It's how
It's
I
not
like to
as
describe
open
it.
as Tears of the
It's
Kingdom.
not
or
as
Breath of the Wild.
open,
That's the thing.
but
It's
yeah.
so constricted in its mission design, and that's another issue with Rockstar, is that their games are very much like sandboxes, and then you get into a mission, it's like, I don't know, you're playing an Uncharted game now, like you're doing, which is good for me. I love Uncharted, but like I completely understand people who love
I
like
do want to
these
say
open games. They want
this
more
is a
open
longer
mission.
title. I know, like, some people are put off by longer titles. This
Way
game in
too long.
particular, the story will enthrall you so much that you will not care about the time. I'm telling you that now.
Chapter 5
It is.
Oh yeah.
I'm not getting into that conversation. That's a rabbit hole. I'm not going down the page. But
It is
this story will
loaded
take you, and
as
you will
hell.
not have an issue with how long the game is. It is around 50 to 60 hours of just mainlining the story, which I did that, and it says I'm like 75% of the way done with like 100% in the game. So I don't know how that works, but yeah, highly recommend it. It was a great time.
Yeah, no. And then Red Dead Online, you gonna mess with that?
No, I'm not.
Dude,
Wow.
Red Dead Online, that was a poker simulator for me. I love that game. But hey, thank God Rockstar just stopped caring about it. Love Rockstar. Anyways, but yeah, that's everything that we've been playing. So, man, I'm gonna hop it back to you for outros.
All right, so we're gonna wrap up everything for this episode. I don't think we have anything else we have to announce or say. So we're just gonna thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, Spotify. I'm gonna pull up the list because I can never remember the full thing. Apple Podcasts,
okay.
Pocket Casts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and Audible. So we'll see you guys next week for another week closer to Starfield, because that's the only thing that matters, apparently, is how many more days left until Starfield. We'll see you all in the next episode. Thanks for listening.
Have a good one.
See ya, boys.
Yeah.